This is your Monex Metals Market Update with Mike Maroney.
Good afternoon. It's Friday, September 29th. My name is Mike Maroney, and I am coming to you today from the Monex Precious Metals studio. Let's talk precious metals. Well, we've certainly had an interesting month in September. Let's go back to the first week of September. Gold was trading as high as $13.60. Silver was trading as high as $18.30. Platinum actually traded to $10.20. And palladium just touched the $1,000 an ounce mark. Now, when you hit major resistance levels, it's not unusual to see some profit taking and what many people call corrective activity. And what do I mean by corrective activity? If you look at where we were as far as the lows were concerned, and then you look at the highs, it's not unusual to pull back approximately 50 or sometimes as much as 61.8% of the total move up. And basically that's what's happened. We've seen a major move up in gold of approximately $240, and what we've seen is a classic pullback. In silver, the low was $15.15 and $15.15, and the first week of September, we traded all the way up to $18.30. So a $3.15 move. So a classic pullback in that situation would be 50%. And if you do the math real quick, approximately $1.60 off the top. Where does that take you? Right down into the 1665, 1670 area. That's where we traded at today. Now, it's also the last day of September, which is the last day of the quarter, and what we call book squaring has a tendency to take place. Many of the funds were fortunate and took profits at the higher level because they knew if gold, silver, platinum, and palladium broke above the massive resistance that sits in gold at about $13.70, in silver right around $18.40, in plat right around $10.40, and palladium right around $1,000, then we would be establishing a whole new upside breakout and looking at trading to new highs as far as the last few years are concerned and establishing a new range. Now, we weren't able to break through because what took place was the dollar actually bounced off its low of 91.20. Now, the dollar was in the midst of a free fall. It had traded as high as 104. We saw basically a 15% drop in the dollar, and then it found support down around 91.20. Since that point, we bounced up to 93.70, a couple point increase. But the major thing was many people thought that the dollar put in a short-term bottom. They expected a bit of a bounce, and when that bounce takes place, it's not unusual to see profit taking in the precious metals. Now the question is, are we experiencing a potential short-term bottom as far as the precious metals markets are concerned? Let's look at this situation. What we've had is your classic Fibonacci pullback or correction, and now we're sitting right on very key support levels. Now, it's not unusual for the major traders to wait for the momentum to start to pick back up to the upside, and then they typically like to buy certain breakout levels. One of the things they'll look for is a trade back above the 50-day or back above the 100-day moving average. And those moving averages are right around 1695, 1711. And what I mean by this is, I think what we're seeing now is some bargain hunters are coming out of the basement, buying gold and buying silver. But I think the real momentum will start to pick up once we break back above those key moving averages. When you think about the long-term situation as far as the US dollar is concerned, and you think about the fact that now we're talking about additional tax cuts. We've already thrown $20 trillion worth of debt on. We're going to cut taxes, and obviously this is going to cause more debt to be burdened upon the US population. When will this number start to really take effect? Well, a lot of people think when we hit the debt ceiling in December that there's going to be a lot of anxiety and focus on what's happening with the US government, what's happening with debt, and how are we going to fix this problem. And in that situation, when that focus starts to take place, suddenly you see a change in perception as more and more investors will actually realize that this situation is starting to escalate and could become much, much worse. And in that situation, where is the US dollar headed? It's probably headed a lot lower long term. And what does that mean to you, the individual investor? Now may be one of the greatest times to own precious metals. We've gone through a classic correction after a major move. Now what happens? The buyers will come out. If this market can break above the September highs, we could be back in a very bullish state, similar to what took place between 2006 and 2011. The prices that sit here right now make absolute sense for investors that are looking to take delivery, looking to hold for the long term, looking to put themselves in a position, if the dollar does tumble to where many people expect, that precious metals will provide a quality hedge. Now for the speculators, maybe you want to wait until it breaks back up above key moving averages, or maybe you want to start nibbling right here. But what you should do is give us a call today so we can talk about the opportunities that exist in precious metals. I think everybody should own some. Everyone should take delivery, stick some away, and then you could also decide if speculative activity is something that you would like to participate in. Give us a call today. Thank you.